Hello everyone, I haven't done a video at my desk in a while. I've been doing that loop around my neighborhood, which I really like, but it's starting to get really cold in the mornings. So I thought I would come in here and talk about how I changed my perception on road rage. And I think if this video finds you, and even if you don't have chronic OCD, which is obviously what this channel is primarily for, and the other anxiety-based disorders, but we do work with people, people that come in with severe OCD, and then maybe their spouses, boyfriend, girlfriends, moms, dad come in. Maybe they have some mild OCD or maybe just general anxiety, not full-blown general anxiety disorder, which in my opinion is misdiagnosed basically every day, all day around the world. But because GAD has to be something like Paul David's book, At Last a Life. That's what real GAD is. 24/7 chronic symptoms, blasting away, fear. You're basically anxious every millisecond of the day, which I've been there for long periods of time, always in the background. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Look for the What's Up link for Phil, like I always say. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. Send them a What's Up link right away, and then we can get you in as soon as possible. And again, if you are finding this for the first time, I really don't know what I'm going to title this. Hopefully the algorithm will pick it up. Something maybe along the lines of, just road rage or something like that, or road rage and anxiety, or anger road rage or something like that. So I think the most important thing to highlight is, the books on our reading list at OCDrecovery.com are always first. After that, there's a good adjunct that I like to add. I've read it a couple times. I actually reread it for the second time about 6 months ago, maybe 4 months ago. I hadn't read it in 2 years, which is How to Control Your Anger Before It Controls You. Very similar to the first book on our reading list, which is Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, Yes Anything. And it's a very emotive, rationally driven book, breaking down belief systems. It's very different than the majority of the self-help, if not all the self-help books out there. There's lots of exercises, which people really don't like doing, which is understandable. But if you really want to give yourself the best possibility of breaking down your road rage, you'll really want to lean into that. So let me give you a little bit of a background about how road rage really affected me. Well, the first thing to cover is that I had it very badly. I gotten out of the car multiple times. I always say to people, there's a lot of myths surrounding anabolic steroids, that anabolic steroids make you angry. That's not true. If you naturally, your belief systems are very passive and you take anabolic steroids, you're not going to turn into the Hulk. But if you have really bad conditional other acceptance and you have vindictiveness against the world, and you already have a lot of hatred belief systems, and you take a bunch of anabolic steroids, probably not going to help. That's all I'll say. There's no way to prove that, just kind of what I see. So I had some really bad conditional other acceptance. I always used to think people are so stupid. How could they act like an idiot? I had a really hard time putting myself in other people's shoes. And this led to a constant hypervigilant state on the road. If you cut me off, if you rid my ass, I was just angry all the time. And then I've gotten out of the car a few times, and it's just been really bad. So what happened was I realized that I wanted to change that habit. I didn't even so much label it as a compulsion or something. I just said, this is not a good habit and I want to change it. So let's go over some of the things that you have to do if you want to give yourself the best opportunity to recover from your road rage. And by the way, anger, if you haven't noticed, is the least studied, which we don't need to study anger anymore. It's as clear as day. There's more than likely a genetic component to anger. Okay, maybe some ethnic lines have more propensity to anger than others. I see it a lot in my family. Many people have anger issues, all the way down to my grandparents and great-grandparents. Belief systems drive everything. So your belief about other people and the world, this shouldn't be happening, this isn't fair, I hate them. The vindictiveness and rage and vengefulness is usually coming from those strong conditional other acceptance beliefs and taking life too seriously. The third thing, and this is what everyone gets wrong, is it's so important to wear anger. Yes, many people do not want to hear this because we believe that it's good to get it off our chest. But you have to ask yourself, does yelling about your problems and complaining actually get you in life what you want to get? The answer is usually no. And Ellis does a really good job, I think in chapter 3 of the anger book, dispelling 5 of the most common anger myths. And that is one of them, is that getting it off your chest, punching a pillow, always doing timeouts. Timeouts can have a benefit in the beginning, But if you don't get rid of those, you have to become comfortable with being around situations that potentially could make you angry. Very similar in the very beginning, someone who's getting sober from alcoholism might want to avoid the bars for the first couple of months to a year, but then they're going to be going to weddings and bar mitzvahs and traveling and cruises and vacations, and they'll probably be around alcohol, and they have to be able to be aware of their potential triggers that could bring them back into an alcoholic cycle. It's the same thing for this. Too many people are avoiding, using words like toxic relationships. And we're not saying people don't have problems in relationships, but I tend not to use the word toxic as it over kind of drives things, even in very, very bad situations, which many people have gone through. So, okay. So what's the first thing that we want to highlight? So as always, we have activating events. And for this activating event, it could be, I'll put anything on the road. Now, this could be anything from someone riding your ass, like I said, to someone cutting you off, to someone hitting you, getting into a motor vehicle collision and something like that. And then most people think if someone rides my ass or cuts me off on the road, that automatically equals C, which is an emotional consequence. Now, when you actually start to adopt this philosophy, which in my opinion is the best philosophy to live by, because it takes a lot of personal responsibility to do this, and this is why a lot of people don't like REBT. It's one of the reasons why CBT is primarily watered down and becomes talk therapy. Most people that come into me and they say, hey, I did 12, 16 sessions of CBT for anything, and I have them explain it to me, they actually didn't do cognitive CBT or anything like that, behavioral changes. They just basically did a lot of talk therapy, which is unfortunate. So this is what most people think. Most people think activating events equal consequences. And the consequences for this example are anger, right? Rage, sometimes even physical violence. And that's basically what most people think, which is a voodoo kind of magic if you actually think about it. No one can really make you angry without some sort of a belief system. We're not saying there's not an innate biological tendency to feel frustration. And also remember, as people always make fun of me with the pendulum swing, most humans are pendulum swinging 180 degrees. Their pendulum swings all the way like this. This is like absolute hatred or depression, right? Stoicism allows you to kind of be in this nice, smooth pendulum swing right here where you're still feeling emotions. I feel every emotion. I cry, I laugh, I get frustrated, I feel joy, but I try not to let those be swung to the extremes, because even when you swing to the extremes in the happiness, you tend to hold on to that because it goes up really high and you're like, don't let go. And then that's when people have relapses, so their anger comes back again and they get really upset. So what's actually happening is, so you have the activating event. So I'll just put, for simplicity, I'll put road rage again. Now I get it. This isn't fun. And this is not going to be easy to break down. And I'm going to draw this one really big. And then we have, and this is really where most people miss. And then we have the belief. So we have the activating event plus the belief system. And this is where your musts, right? Your shoulds and your oughts. Your you, I'll just put you dot means universal. Your universal fairness and your universal deservingness. Now, we can, prefer to believe in deservingness and fairness, but it is really important to break down why there's no such thing. Children die every day of cancer. The world's not fair. Wars rage around the world. People get into motor vehicle accidents and their parents die. People get diseases and die. People die young from cancer. People are killed in work-related accidents. I had a kid in my school who was in his low 30s. He had a kid on the way. He was an arborist, cuts trees down, and he died. And then I believe 2 weeks later, another childhood friend of mine who I hadn't talked to in a long time died of cancer at 33. So, yeah, life is just not fair. But you can accept that, as Cicero says, a statesman for Rome, before Marcus Aurelius, I believe it was before Marcus Aurelius. He said that one of the number one causes of emotional disturbance is your expectations on life. And once you lose a lot of your expectations and just accept things for how they are, it doesn't mean you can't work at your goals. You're just losing that desire, that extreme expectations. So back to this. So what will this look like? I'll go through each one. This must not be happening to me. This person is inconveniencing me. This is the worst thing ever. This should not be happening to me. I don't deserve this. I hate everyone. This ought to be solved now. Let's say you get into a motor vehicle accident and it takes hours and hours for paramedics to arrive or whatever. This ought not to be happening to me. I have things to do. And then that universal fairness and deservingness. I don't deserve this. This isn't fair. I just bought this new car. How dare this person? Just so you know, by the way, and I spent my whole life doing this, trying to prove other people wrong, whether it's through intelligence or something you know, or on the road, or flicking them off, or something like that. That is what we like to call death by a thousand cuts to yourself. Because a lot of times, that person goes on their day and they might not even care. This happened to me the other day. I was letting an old person go. The person behind me was freaking out, and he was past me, and he flicked me off. And I cannot believe how much I've changed on it. I feel sad for that individual because that person's now going to go along their day and they're going to have raised blood pressure. They're going to be angry. It could bleed over into the first 6, 7, 8 hours of their day. It sounds crazy, but a lot of people this happens to. They bring it to the workplace. They bring it home to their family. I can't believe that person did that. And then that equals, as I said before, those strong emotional consequences and just consequences. And just for simplicity, I'll put anger. So this is how everything in the human mind and psychology works. It's always the same way, no matter what. Even people that have sociopathic and psychopathic brain structures, they still have belief systems. Their belief systems, we just don't know if they're malleable or not. That's going to be triggering for many people to hear who have fear of schizophrenia, bipolar, sociopathic tendencies, narcissistic personality disorder. But, I think these principles are basically for everyone. And we don't know because we've never sat someone down with this. Like, let's say someone has real strong sociopathic and psychopathic tendencies and they're no empathy at all, right? No compassion. Well, maybe if you sat them down, and went over some of the stuff in the trial for 3 times a week, who knows, for a month, it would be unique to see. It would be, that's never been done before. And, it would be so hard to correlate that because how do you compare it? Now I'm just thinking about the abstracts, but, that's what it is. So this is very important. Now, practically, that was the belief side. Now let's go over to the practical side, okay? So the practical side of what you need to do, because remember, the belief is a major part, but there's also practical stuff you have to do. Number 1, you have to learn how to wear anger. That means you have to let it bottle up inside you, like your skin's going to explode, like your skin's crawling with ants. Number 2, you have to decrease talking about it. So what a lot of people do is they'll get into maybe a road rage or something and they go to their work, they're on their way to work, they complain to the first person that will listen, they come home, they take it out on their children, their dogs, they take it out on their spouse, they're really angry. So this goes into wearing the anger. It's the same thing, but decrease talking about it, okay? And number 3, you don't have to do this, but I think it's a good way to practice it. This is more of an exposure standpoint. Try driving. You don't have to go below the speed limit, but try driving, right lane, and then just slow down a little bit. So maybe you're going just at the speed limit. Now, I'm a massive car guy. I was just watching a video yesterday of a 2,000 horsepower Audi R8 that hit 230 miles an hour in like 7 seconds. It was fucking sick. But that's not the realities of life all the time. So I do understand when I'm going places, I can take my time and I can enjoy the journey there. So these are the practical sides, right? You're wearing the anger, which is the same thing as you're decreasing talking about it. Don't vent about it. Don't confess about it. Just wear it and do the problem solving with the belief systems, not in the moment per se, but as you go throughout your day. And then the exposures. Try driving a little bit slower and see how that feels. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to make this as practical as I could. I'm a human. So things happen. Some of them was smashed into the back of me about 6 to 8 weeks ago when me and my wife were coming back from Breckenridge in Colorado, and I got real angry for a few seconds, maybe like a few minutes. But, that was a rarity, but it can happen, right? Those pathways are still there, and I'm very good at not berating myself. I go, come on, Nick, what are you doing, man? You got more work to do. Remember, constant chronic guilt on yourself from being like, I'm so stupid, why can't I learn, doesn't actually help you become a better problem solver. What you actually need is to slow things down, wait till you're not as triggered, and then redirect and try again. As Ray Dalio says, pain plus reflection equals progress. Your goal is to take the pain and the progress and shorten that over time. So maybe you get really angry on the road, pain, okay, you reflect, it takes you a couple days, progress, maybe a week. Just a random example. And you're trying to shorten that to where maybe if you get really angry on the road and you feel it, that shortened to a couple minutes. So thank you so much. Again, look for that What's Up link down below. We hope to hear from you soon. It feels really good to not be angry all the time. It really does. And I can apply this to many injustices that I believe are perceived on me in my life and around the world. It's not easy, but it's a better life in my opinion. Thank you again. And if the What's Up link isn't there, as always, Phil at OCDrecovery.com. And we hope to hear from you soon. And we'll be doing another anger webinar. Have a good one, everyone.